at these lunatics here. I'm doing 50 mile an hour. I can hardly see where I'm going. There's no way they can see where I'm going. Anyway, a bit more on sovereignty, I think. The rule of law in this country is broken down. As I said in the previous video, sovereignty is the right of a person to, not a person, sorry, because that's got a legal definition in Roman law, a flesh and blood man to decide for himself what he does and doesn't want to do. So when you ask a question, you're asking as king. That's where the word comes from, because you are sovereign. Parliament gets its power through the sovereign, and the sovereign reigns because of the flesh and blood people. That's where they get the power from. So Parliament isn't sovereign. Parliament is, at the end of the day, is governed by the monarch, who is governed by the people. So when the Brexit vote happened, well, that's it. Parliament should have acted, but now they're completely out of control. We've got lots of legal crap going on. The best thing Theresa May could do right now is just pick up the phone and trigger Article 50 while this court case is still on. But what I really wanted to talk about was common law and Roman law. Common law, which is what governs us, what our nation is based on, was brought in by Alfred the Great. And it's basically the Ten Commandments, but you can narrow it down even further to that. Don't hurt anybody, don't steal anything. You can do what the hell you like, as long as you don't hurt, steal, kill, or wrong anybody else, or defraud anybody else. That's common law. Roman law, or as I like to call it now, acts and statutes, is Napoleonic law, effectively, which basically says you can't do anything unless we say it's alright. Now, I know which one I want to do, because I don't want some pumped up, overpaid politician, I was trying to be polite there, in Brussels, telling me that I have to. Good example, a few years ago, was leg shields on motorcycles. Peter Bottomley wanted to bring in leg shields, but under pressure from the German government, because they were going to try and bring it in Germany, and it was going to go EU wide, and they thought Britain would be a good place to test it all out, so that's what they tried to do. And I certainly protested against it. Thousands of bikers protested against it. It was shelved. I know Peter Bottomley hasn't had a half decent job since, although he's still in Parliament, I think. So the difference between the two is acts and statutes need consent. Theresa May said so, didn't she? Not so long ago. We are governed by consent. That's right. But that, by its very definition, means that we can also withdraw consent. And so what they've done is they've twisted the legal system and the meaning of words and stuff, so you don't actually realise any of this. I mean, there's lots of us out here who do now, and the more people who make videos like this and that, the more people are going to understand or will start looking into it. Don't take my word for any of this. It's all out there. Go and find it for yourselves. I'm not lying to anybody. I might make the odd factual mistake, but I just feel the need to talk about it. So when you get an envelope through the door, and it's a brown or white envelope, doesn't really matter, although there is some debate about that, and it's got a window in it. It'll have your name in it, in that window, and it will almost certainly be in all capital letters. And in legal terms, it's not a letter at all. It's an invitation to contract. It's a notice. And when you open that letter, you've acquiesced, which means tacit consent, to the contract inside. That it all depends on what it's for. Sometimes it's just a letter from the NHS saying you've got an appointment, but it will still be in all capital letters. But sometimes it will be a contract, like a parking fine. So that's just a small example. And the way they've twisted words, like the police caution says, he asks you at the end, do you understand? But that doesn't mean, do you understand? Like you or I would think, oh yeah, I understood that, that was in English. But that's not what it means. And the policeman probably won't have a clue what it means either, because he's just an order follower. What it actually means is, do you stand under my authority? And that's the legal definition of it. Have a look in Black's Law Dictionary. And they've done this with all sorts of stuff. But you can play them at your own game if you get good at it. You know, if you have to put some court papers in, you put right at the very top, I'm an idiot. But then you have to put an appendix in there, giving them the definition of all the words you've used so they can't twist them. So you'd put in there, the word idiot comes from the Greek and it means somebody not professionally trained. And this is how they twist and use words. Common law, there's none of that. If you commit treason, you get hung, and that's it, end of story. And so there's a lot of people in Parliament at the moment that if they were put in front of a common law jury, would be facing a rope because of what they've done. They've sold this country down the river. I'm not advocating that anything illegal should happen here. I'm just saying what the common law penalty for treason is. And as more people begin to understand what's being done to us, the more people are going to, hopefully, more people in positions of power are going to start thinking, well, screw this, I'm not going to overstep my authority, there's the common purpose again. I'm actually going to follow the letter of the law and do the right thing. So, I'm quite optimistic. But we have to get back to this common law thing. Because once they tie themselves up in knots with their own laws. You know, they're bringing out new laws and acts and statutes all the time. And what's the effect? We've got worse police. We've got no NHS left. It's all been privatised. The roads are falling to bits. People suing for falling over, local councils taking away people's houses for civil debts. It's completely out of hand, and something's got to change, and I'm optimistic that it is going to change. Anyway, rant over.